This is the largest Ponzi scheme in the history of the world. Most of us never really stop to think about where does money come from. The standard story that is still taught in textbooks is something like this. People save money, banks lend that out to others who need it, and they charge interest for the service. It's a nice story, logical, comforting, but here's the twist. That is not how money works at all. Here's how it works. You walk into a bank, you sign up for a mortgage or a business loan. The bank doesn't hand you money that someone else deposited. It types a number into your account. Just like that, new money was born. Not from savings, but from debt. This is called endogenous money creation, and it is not a fringe theory. The Bank of England and the Federal Reserve have publicly confirmed this is what's happening. And by the way, 20 years ago when I was telling this story, those central banks had not yet confirmed this is what's happening. But when we increase the total amount of monetary claims in the system, that's relative to the energy, the forest, the lithium salts, the dolphins, the orangutans, the ecosystem functioning capacity of our Earth. We keep creating more and more claims on the same amount of biophysical reality. So this is not so different than a Ponzi scheme or Bernie Madoff, who pays their new investors by drawing down the principal, not the actual returns. So in many ways, we are creating hundreds and hundreds of trillions of monetary claims on a flat to declining amount of biophysical energy, material, and ecosystem realities. It's a big deal.
He's sort of control of their people. He's been trialled in China and being rolled out across the planet. And here's the last one for you if you didn't know. Remember the people were talking about this insane tinfoil hat idea that we were going to be chipped and then monitored? Well, guess what? If you've been vaxxed, you now have a code. So a reader can walk past you, and the gentleman showed me. And it's got all the codes. You are now barcoded. You now have a registered number. You are now products, and they can control you. Again, 2.5 years ago, I said, be careful of 5G and the rest, and they laughed, and we were right. And now we're saying, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been jabbed, you now have a barcode inside you that can be read by a phone, and it'll just differentiate between a device and a person. And the little logo comes up, this is a person, and there's a long number. That's you. That's your number. You are now controlled. It's part of the transhumanist issue. But I tell you what, keep taking the jab, folks. Keep taking the jab.
There's a sky.
Boys okay?
All right.
It's all safe. You're all going to be fine.
America was attacked. We are your heroes. It was 7 for God's sake. But we're out there.
Understanding how you feel in the face of other voices without second guessing yourself is probably the single most important thing to practice as an artist, or skill set to develop as an artist, is to know how you feel and own your feelings. And the key to that is not, I know, so I know what's right for you. It doesn't work that way. It's just, I know from me. And the reason I chose to be an artist is to demonstrate this is how I see it. If I'm undermining my taste for some commercial idea, or it defeats the whole purpose of doing this. That's not what this process is about. This process is, I'm doing me and I'm showing you who I am, and you can like it or not, but either way, this is still how I see it.
Soon you will have forgotten all things, and soon all things will have forgotten you. In other words, don't get overwrought. You're angry with this guy just because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Ask yourself how many of the people that are working for you are doing what they're supposed to do. Soon, you'll have forgotten all this because you'll be dead. And soon, all the people who know you, they're going to be dead too, and they'll have forgotten you. And so what's the point of being mean to people? Now imagine the kind of philosophical self-restraint we're talking about here. This is a guy who could chop everyone's head off if he gets sufficiently angry, so he never does. Remarkable, remarkable. So Marcus Aurelius is a man who constantly, in his book, is writing short 1- and 2-line epigrams that essentially say things like, don't lose your temper with these people, Marcus, you know how they are. Marcus, it's not your fault that they're stupid. You tried to teach them, and you can keep on trying to teach them, but if Socrates was a good man and they killed him, what do you expect them to do to you?
You know who you're in business with? They will tear everything you have to the ground.
You don't get to win. You don't get to be the Kochs or the Kennedys or whatever fucking royalty you people think you are. Well, it doesn't work like that.
Since when?
Yeah, well, this is handmade quality shit we're talking here.
My main goal is to blow up and then act like I don't know nobody. My main goal.
If black people were super well behaved, we would be racist in the other direction. We'd say, black people, oh yes, dude, yes. My day is about to turn around for the better. What can I help you with, sir? Please, come right on in.
Why is he this way?
Oh my God, bro. Oh my God, bro. Hey, Nick crazy for real, bro.
Why are you enjoying it so much?
Hey, bro. Nah,
I ain't gonna lie, he had some points.
Bro.
I won't lie, he made a lot of valid points.
Nigga's crazy, bro. Oh my gosh.
We banned content with harmful stereotypes about Jews, such as the claim that Jews run the world or other major institutions.
1 minute later.
When you think about it, the masters of the universe are Jews. You know, we've got Altman at AI, we got Zuckerberg, we got Sergey Brin, we got the whole group across the board. Jan Combs, you know, founded WhatsApp. It's us. And we have to figure out a way to win the digital battle. Amelia, we got to get our digital sneakers on so that the truth can prevail over the lies. And when we do that, the future of Israel will be stronger because a majority of all Americans will support Israel. We'll make that happen. We have to make it happen. Thank you. Baruch Hashem. Thank you.
Is it loaded? Hell no. What do you think I am?
Do you believe there's a power higher than people?
Jesus!
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot we don't know. We don't know why does reality exist? Where did it come from? Where are the aliens? What questions should we ask that we don't even know to ask? So,
when you say what are the aliens, what do you mean?
Where are the aliens? Oh. Like, why don't we see them? A lot of people think we see aliens, but I have not seen any evidence of aliens. You know, we've got 6,000 satellites in orbit, and not once have we had to maneuver around an alien spacecraft. Right.
But on this Earth, the U.S. military has had to do a lot of maneuvering around objects they can't explain.
Well, unidentified flying objects is one thing, but I mean, there's always a bunch of classified programs that are underway of new aircraft and new missiles and things. So that are classified even within the military. So it's only if you have the top secret compartmented clearance, would you know about this new program? So then, you know, some pilot sees something moving fast and says, hey, I saw a UFO. I'm like, yeah, that was actually a new weapons program, but we can't tell you that.
Repeated criticism or humiliation in childhood doesn't just hurt feelings, it rewires the brain. The anterior cingulate cortex and default mode network become overactive, encoding shame and self-blame as a survival pattern. Over time, that voice of criticism becomes internalized, turning into the inner critic that attacks you long after the world goes quiet. In adulthood, this can appear as perfectionism, anxiety, and self-sabotage. Not because you're weak, but because your brain was trained to expect blame. So the question is, how much of your self-criticism is really just someone else's voice living in your...
I'm not racist. In fact, that's my black friend mowing my lawn.
If you want to heckle me, you win, because I have no comebacks. I have nothing witty to say. I never claim to be clever or talented or witty. I came here to do this because my family is together for the first time in years, and we're doing this show together. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry if I brought all of you down. I came to see a good show. I'm trying to do some singing, some dancing, some songs with my family, and you know, it's a variety show. So if I brought you down, thank you very much for showing me where I'm at. I guess I don't really have that much more to do. And if you don't want me to continue, then I guess I won't. So thank you for showing me where I'm at. Well, I'm trying my best to give you a chance.
2 hours later.
Whoa, Black Betty, Bambalam. Whoa, Black Betty, Bambalam. Black Betty had a child, Bambalam. The damn thing gone wild, Bambalam.
I don't get pussy. Nah, I'm a fucking rookie.
I've created a monster because nobody wants to see Robert no more. They want Bob. I'm cop liver. Well, if you want Bob, this is what I'll give you. A little bit of me mixed with some hard liquor.
I don't get pussy.
I've got some nuts, mate. I'm unbeatable. I'm totally and completely, unequivocally unbeatable. I can't be beat. It's impossible. You can dent me. You can damage me. You're never ever gonna beat me.
You're missing the point. This does not belong to us. We are not special. What do you want? Statement of purpose? Should I email you? Should I put this on your action item list? You decide your own level of involvement. Fuck what you know. You need to forget about what you know. That's your problem. Forget about what you think you know about life, about friendship. If you were to die right now, how would you feel about your life? Stop trying to control everything and just let go.
You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about? The Matrix. The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
People are called nerd. Anyone who uses their brain, follows their intellect, wants to pursue something intelligent, is a nerd, a geek, an egghead, or a grind. To me, it's just the fact that people don't use their brains. That they're not very intelligent to start with, or something. I don't know.
Weren't you in the service when you were young, George?
Yeah, I was.
And when they gave you all that officer and a gentleman bullshit, where sit-ups in the mud will help you become a man, did you question everything? You must have been the like quintessential ball buster.
Well, I was, I was breaking balls before that. I had already left 3 schools, by mutual agreement. It's not working out. And been kicked out of the Boy Scouts and the choir and the Altar Boys. So the Air Force was an easy one to get out of. But talk about intellect. I joined the Air Force to stay out of the service. How do you like that? Because it's not really real in the Air Force. It's like a big country club, But I don't know.
Why do you think people are so easily influenced? Besides
being stupid.
Yeah, I mean, stupid is your core underlay. But what are some of the other things?
They're superstitious. Yeah. They have these beliefs, these primitive, people believe in, they're just really kind of credulous and gullible. People believe in.
We're rolling.
All right, stand by, here we go.
Marker?
Yeah.
Right now, Jim, that was better. That's the best?
Let's say it's another one to print. I think that's awfully good. That one and the one before it was pretty good.
Do we have about 15 seconds?
Oh, yeah, you got a lot of time.
Yeah.
No lights.
Go on more right away, guys. We can rehearse it. Said, go back and we'll rehearse it and see how it looks.
Use the second marker there. Rather than even say anything about the,
Paternity. Okay.
Tail sight coming up right now.
All right, rehearsal, guys.
All right, this is just rehearsal. Ready and action.
Look at this photograph. Tell me, this is the Cassini spacecraft.
Oh, you don't miss anything. That's cool.
What am I looking
Oh, yeah. So this is not dust here. This is Earth seen through the rings of Saturn. Earth. This is Earth. This is Earth. Earth.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
Engine arm dash in. 99 Pro. Good lift off. Automatic.
In 1962, 7 years before they faked the moon landing, Operation Dominic began. A series of 31 missiles were shot straight up into the sky to test how high humans can actually reach. They quickly figured out, not far at all.
It seems that whenever they were shooting these missiles up into the sky, they were actually interacting with different layers of this plasma field or this electromagnetic phenomena, and it seems to have fluid-like properties. As it actually hits a certain portion of this force field, if you will, it begins to disperse and seek equilibrium based on the impedance of the electromagnetic layers.
Why is it when we review this footage that these things are exploding? It looks like they're hitting a barrier.
Testing the strength of the firmament, and they weren't able to penetrate it.
what's going on there? What is this? In my opinion, I think that they were trying to find a way to possibly get out. There's a firmament above us.
So everything is as above, so below. Obviously, many people are becoming aware that there's a firmament above that many people are now starting to realize is impenetrable.
No matter what you do, you can't go straight up in the air and keep going.
It's a painful process to build it back again.
This next generation spacecraft will enable America to explore beyond low Earth orbit.
As we find ourselves on an Earth much different than we ever imagined, it brings us back to this upcoming deception, this final card, and what it's truly all about.
We are dealing with a huge, probably the most important deception on humanity. What I'm telling you is there's a cover-up about disinformation, and has been, by the top researchers that you people rely on to hear the truth from. Over the next 10 years, I have now worked with over 400 cases of people that have been able to stop the abduction experience in the name and authority of Jesus Christ. These are entities masquerading as high technological aliens, but they can be defeated by one name.
And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
The new world order. A new world order.
A new world order.
There's no way for us to know exactly where this alien deception is heading, but one thing is for sure, we are witnessing the fulfillment of prophecies in Scripture that told us we were going to eventually head to a one world government. A great deception is coming. We can count on it, and we have to return to the power of the one who put us here, the one who is going to have the final say.
Pan tam był. Czy Ziemia rzeczywiście jest kulą zawieszoną w kosmosie?
Jest płaska. Tak jak oczekują. Nie spodziewałem się co prawda tego pytania, ale zapewniam pana, że jest płaska.
So then all of a sudden the United States and Russia engaged in these high-altitude nuclear tests, and the United States calls theirs Operation Dominic, within which we have Operation Fishball. Look up the name Dominic from the late Latin name Dominicus, meaning of the Lord. Fishball was part of Operation Dominic. It looks like they are sending high-altitude nuclear bombs to test the fishbowl of the Lord, i.e. the firmament.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
I was talking with a gentleman from Belcom, and we were discussing the lie. Everything he was telling me was different from what we were being told was the truth. And at one point I asked him, I said, man, you guys, you lied about a lot, didn't you? And instantly he said, no, we didn't lie about certain things. We lied about everything. None of it was true.
And also when we, against the orders of President Truman, when Allen Dulles brought in all the Nazi scientists and so forth, they went to 2 places. They went to CIA and they went to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which in our world we call it not a space agency. And as Kathy O'Brien has said so clearly, that's where the bulk of the mind control has been done.
The spacesuit has replaced the cowboy outfit of an earlier year. And the dream of a rocket trip to some distant planet has outdated the old-fashioned desire to fly a plane around the world.
So you spin, you know, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. Yeah. Gets wider in the middle. And so Earth throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning, and it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles. So it's not actually a sphere, it's oblate, and officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier. Yeah. Chubby's a good way. It's like pear-shaped.
So my question is, how can you operate a lid on the outside of the space station by manipulating something mechanical on the inside of the space station without losing air pressure?
It's called real good engineering.
Check us out. This is from Taiwan to Los Angeles, and Hawaii's out there kind of in the middle. Right about here, there was a medical emergency. Where would you land if you were the pilot?
Hawaii.
Right, or maybe go to Los Angeles. Instead, they went all the way up to Alaska.
What?
Why did they go to Alaska? The answer is because this is the route. Taiwan,
oh shit,
emergency, Alaska. Hawaii is all the way out here. This is the actual route that they take.
He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says President Trump is aware of the existence of these aliens and had been on the verge of revealing their secrets, he claims, but was asked not to do so by the Federation in order to prevent what he calls mass hysteria. Well, the retired general says the US and Israel have kept it from the public because, quotes, humanity isn't ready and the aliens don't want to reveal themselves until humanity can evolve, he says, and understand what space really is.
Because space is the world's newest warfighting domain. Space is a warfighting domain. The next warfighting domain.
Space is a warfighting domain.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven.
Even NASA, that
gave us a picture of a globe. NASA has it on record that they don't have a picture of the Earth from the sky. You know the machine that you find in every aircraft, the gyroscope. The gyroscope works on a flat Earth, flat plain ground, a flat table. That's how that machine works. It doesn't work on a spherical object. It's in every plane. Ladies and gentlemen, I know people have different theories. All that you needed to do is to get into a helicopter, you take off, you wait in the air, let the Earth spin, and bring America here and you land. Simple. That's it. It's so strange how from the sky a plane or even a helicopter can land on an Earth that is spinning at 1,500 kilometers an hour. And there are markings on the Earth, on the helipad, they mark. And you have to land on those marks, those white marks, on an Earth. What makes sense to you today? You get into your kitchen, you take a plate, you put water. Those are the seas. And it's known according to our old maps, the Earth was flat. And around, go and look at our old maps. What do you see at the edge? Ice wall. There is a wall around the Earth, which is of ice. And that's the highest point. It's not even Mount Everest. That's the highest point around the Earth, which keeps the water inside. That's the only way you can get to the end, is the water in a plate. These countries are simply islands. But how come they don't fly past? Okay, you are good researchers. Okay, go and look for Antarctic Treaty. Antarctic Treaty. In 1959, there was an agreement where 53 most powerful countries signed an agreement that we will not allow humans to explore beyond the Antarctica. No planes should fly beyond the Antarctica. Why an agreement?
We found several differences in the trajectory of the sun. One of the most significant was between Australia and Argentina, which are in the same tropic.
While in Argentina the sun moves at about 180 degrees, in Australia it moves almost 270 degrees, which would be impossible in a spherical Earth model. Another significant example was in the Canary Islands, where a time-lapse of the stars showed a circular movement incompatible with the spherical model of the Earth.
This movement would only be justified if the place were near the poles in a spherical Earth, which is not the case.
We do not understand that with so many discrepancies we have found, and with the technology available today, no researcher, no scientist, no astronomer, no space agency in the world has perceived any of this.
The discrepancy in the comparison of the trajectory of the sun and the stars between the different points, when related to its geographical position in the current world map, allowed to generate a new geographical model of the continents. In this model, the continents present a size and position somewhat different from the current world map, having the North Pole to the center and the other continents around it. This new model was called convex Earth.
We call it convex Earth because the continents have a convex relief, starting at the sea level, racing to the highest point and returning to the sea level.
According to altimetric analyses, all the continents present a convexity in their relief. According to the investigations, in the convex Earth, the magnetic field has the following layout, with the magnetic North Pole located in approximately the middle of the planet. Due to the magnetic field, anywhere on the surface of the planet, a compass will always point to the North Pole, as the South Pole represents its entire border. The magnetic field is also responsible for modeling the shape of our atmosphere, which takes the form of a plane convex lens. In this way, the atmosphere, formed by several gases and water in gaseous state, takes on the characteristic of a gigantic magnifying glass with a high degree of refraction, responsible for day and night. The following experiment simulates the behavior of day and night. We use a flat convex lens, a model of the continents, and an external light source simulating the sun. The result is a model of day and night.
If you've got this gut-wrenching feeling that something big is about to happen, there's a reason. And it has everything to do with
rituals, most famously the Babylon working ritual. Documented in 1945 and 1946, was a ritual that Jack Parsons performed with the help of Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. Jack Parsons died in an explosion in his home laboratory in 1952, so he was not alive to see NASA's Apollo missions, but he would have appreciated the ritual significance of the Apollo 11 moon landing being on July 20th. The occult philosophy of Aleister Crowley, which Jack Parsons practiced, relied heavily on ancient Egyptian mythology, as did the Freemasons. And in ancient Egypt, this time of year was marked by the celebration Sopdet. It signaled the start of the new year and was linked to themes of Osiris, the god of death and rebirth, who was represented by Orion. Every year around July 20th, the heliacal rising of Sirius occurs, and in the pre-dawn sky, Orion can be seen right next to Sirius. These are the dog days of summer, named after the dog star Sirius, and it is the season of celebration for Bohemian Grove. This time of year was so important to the ancient Egyptians, it was memorialized in the alignment of the 3 pyramids on the Giza Plateau. Officially, the first moon landing took place on July 20th, and before stepping onto the moon, Buzz Aldrin conducted a private communion ceremony, a Masonic ritual akin to the Egyptian rites of Osiris. The Viking 1 was originally scheduled to land on Mars on July 4th, 1976, America's bicentennial, but ended up landing 16 days later on July 20th. Osiris symbolism is woven into the patches of NASA's most iconic missions.
Where were you on July 20th, 1969?
I was on the surface of the moon.
Lack of gravity forces.
What kind of proof can you offer us that you were there? What can you say to us?
I'm an honest person, and I tell you I was on the moon. If you choose not to believe me, forget it. The moment that we touched down, there was a moment of a bit of extemporaneous looking at each other, and I patted Neil on the back as if to say, well, we really made it. But then we set about doing the other things that we had to do. Moving on the surface was quite easy. The lower gravity gave the overall impression of a slow motion world.
Maybe 4 easy paces can bring you.
We're talking about the moon landing, so I'll skip straight to that. Allegedly, about 50 years ago, a couple guys jumped in a tweaker homeless shelter, traveled 230,000 miles in 3 days, approximately 75,000 miles a day. And then they slowed down in the vacuum of nothing, landed, played golf, talked to the president on a landline telephone, came back. Then we lost all the telemetry data. Then we destroyed the technology to go back. Don Pettit said it's a painful process to build it back, and haven't been back in 50 years. So
one of the most famous was a Michelson-Morley experiment in 1887. No, tell us about that. Well, they used light beams to measure whether the Earth was moving. and they found that there was no movement. The Earth has to be moving 30 kilometers per second to complete its annual revolution. And they found out that it wasn't moving in a very precise. Michelson could have calculated it to 1/100th of what he got in his experiment. That's how sensitive his instruments were.
What did the experiment involve in terms of apparatus, so we can get a concrete understanding of what they found?
If the Earth is moving around the sun, and we shoot that light beam in the direction that the Earth is moving, okay, and then we shoot another light beam perpendicular to that, well, the one that's in the direction of the Earth's movement should be impeded in some way if it's moving through space, whereas this one is going perpendicular would not be impeded.
Why not?
Because it's not going through space. It's just going north and south.
Okay.
Okay? And what they found, they expected to have a 30-kilometer difference between these two light beams. There was no difference. So the natural interpretation, and even Einstein admits this, Mach admits this, Born admits this, the natural interpretation is that the Earth isn't moving. So how do we get out of that? Well, you invent special relativity. And now you say, well, the reason that light beam wasn't affected when it went toward the motion of the Earth is because the apparatus shortened.
Huh?
Yeah, Michelson's apparatus shortened as it was going with the Earth in its orbit around the sun.
No, wait, you're telling me that the contraction of mass was invented to explain away the results of the Michelson-Morley experiment?
Yes, and that's what my book will tell you, and it's been admitted by all the scientists.
Look, I'm not, without going into all the I'm not on top of all the details. It's not for us to second guess everything. And
so let's start by looking at this picture here that was taken in the background, where an astronaut was posing with the flag. And I want you to remember what that Earth looks like right there. It's going to be important in just a second. But now we're going to skip to these guys setting up the pictures of Earth that are so famous from deep space. And they were allegedly on their way to the moon, and halfway there, when they turned the camera around, put it in the window, and saw the blue marble. And there it is, with the clouds that just happened to be as long as an entire hemisphere. But these guys told us that the camera was in the window. However, this wasn't the outer edges of the Earth. This was just a round window. And you can tell that the camera isn't in the window because someone passes in between the camera and the window itself. And as they are being coached at how to take this picture and to adjust the exposure levels on the camera, they accidentally expose their fraud and show that this window is in the distance. They're just zoomed in on it a little bit, and that Terminator line that we see is just an insert, probably some cardboard insert that they put in there to look like Earth is a half Earth, kind of like there's a half moon. And we bought it. It looks legit until you see them remove the insert and again change the exposure levels to show us what the inside of their cabin looks like when they actually remove that Terminator line. They were caught red-handed faking these pictures. Not sure why they would have to if they were really on their way to the moon. They would not have to use such trickery. They did not realize this footage would get leaked out to the public. They sent it in because I'm sure they had tons of footage of them setting this stuff up and did not mean for this to get out. But there's the same Earth right there. You can see that is not Earth. That is literally just the sky. They could have been at ground level looking up at the sky pretending it's Earth. That's why there's nothing but clouds spanning across the entire surface of the Earth. And if you compare them to the Earth on the flag, you can't tell which is which because they're exactly the same, but the one on the right is the one in the background during the moon picture. That's how they got that. They literally used cut and paste in real life. Not on a computer, because that technology most likely didn't exist back then, but they cut it out the old-fashioned way, and that's how we got that picture of Earth in the background. It was very important that they showed us the Earth in the background. You don't recall seeing the sun in the background on the moon because that was not important. We already knew what the sun looked like, and we assumed it was millions of miles away.
And no established religion. Their flag is the skull and crossbones, and their god, G-O-D, spells gold, oil, and drugs.
time, the first time I had learned anything about masonry, I was just reading this little book here, this little book of Captain William Morgan's. First thing I ever saw, and I was just reading that. Actually, I was giving a series of talks every hour and off an hour. And I was sitting out there reading this thing, and finally I got to lunchtime, and there's a bunch of Baptist preachers. And I was sitting at this lunch table, and I said, Mahabone. That's the password of a master mason. One head snapped around and looked at me, and I said, got one. I knew nothing about masonry outside. I'd read about half of that little book. And I got down there, and I got that preacher off to the side, and I said, this is a big lunchroom. And we're standing over there, on the side. I said, look, Pastor, I want to know something. I want to know what this masonry is. I want to know. He looked at me just like this, and he clenched his fists, and he says, it's from the pit of hell! And I can't get out!
You believe in ghosts? Someone once told me time is a flat circle. Everything we've ever done or will do, we're gonna do over and over and over again.
I got 100 on my dash, got 200 in my trunk. Name in the grab bags, put my Bible in the trunk.
And now the latest news update in the case of alleged Louisiana serial murderer Errol William Childress. It's a story that first broke nationwide 2 weeks ago when two former police officers, now private detectives, released information to a number of news and law enforcement agencies.
Why you want to see a good man with a broken heart? Once upon a time I used to go to church and talk to God. Now I'm thinking to myself, I know tips is all I got. Now I'm drinking by myself at the intersection.
Let's have an honest conversation. When we think of work, we imagine tasks, duties, and responsibilities. But in reality, the modern workplace has very little to do with the work itself. The actual product or service is secondary. The real function of most jobs of today is simple: to condition your submission. Every time you walk into that building, you are stepping into a ritual space. A space that was not designed to uplift your talents, but to slowly dismantle your dignity. Most people think that they're being paid for their skills, but in reality, the deeper truth is you're being paid for your obedience. You're being paid for your submission. That's the unspoken contract. Yes, your labor is useful, but your compliance is sacred. And in this dystopian atmosphere, you are expected to ritualize your own humiliation. The uniform, the scripted greetings, the forced enthusiasm. All of it serves one purpose: to remind you of who holds the power. Because it's not enough for the system to exploit your time. It wants your energy. It wants your smile. It wants your spirit of gratitude, even while it devours you. And the managers, the bosses, the supervisors, they are not the originators of this ritual. However, they are its most loyal priests. They have been trained to value performance over principle and profits over people, and to enforce these rituals with a casual, almost calm and detached, like cruelty. Like, these people do this so calmly, but yet so cruel at the same time. It's no coincidence that narcissism is rewarded in this structure. The workplace does not need leaders, at least not in capitalism. In capitalism, the workplace needs enforcers of compliance. It needs individuals who can look you in the face, see your humanity, and still choose to prioritize a company policy over your well-being. But the humiliation ritual goes even deeper. It's in the way that you're monitored, not for the quality of your work, but for how well you conform to their behavioral expectations. Were you smiling enough? Did you say thank you in the correct tone? Did you look busy even when there was nothing to do? These are not metrics of productivity. They are tests of submission. And when you fail to perform the ritual correctly, there are consequences, write-ups, disciplinary sessions, coaching sessions, all methods to recalibrate your obedience.
What keeps you going?
You know what it is, Theo? I just don't think about it. Some people, when they have taken too much and been driven beyond the point of endurance, simply crumble and collapse and give up. There are others, however, though they are not many, who will for some reason always be unconquerable. You meet them in time of war and also in time of peace. They have an indomitable spirit, and nothing, neither pain nor torture nor threat of death, will cause them to give up.
There are so many things I was so sure I'd have in my life by now. And every Christmas, every birthday, all those milestones just remind me of what's still not there. And today turned out to be just another day in the middle of nowhere.
I wonder if it could be me.
All right, here's a question. Here's $1,000 for you, madam. If you can produce the document that you mentioned earlier in your speech, namely a blueprint of a gas chamber showing where the pellets were put in. You mentioned this, you're trying to gull these gullible students because they believe that you have to buy
okay, all right, Mr. Irving.
Here's $1,000.
Excuse me, I'm
asking you a question. Where is this document?
I have no...
You can produce it. You have no idea where it is because you invented it.
I didn't invent anything. Well, I refer you and then I'll refer much more.
You guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us because we all die for your sins every single day. We're all God's firstborn and we're dying for your sins right now.
Wow. Okay, so you get the picture?
Get a picture, I can. Ken, picture up, 10 please.
Airplane disintegrated. That is amazing.
Straight down and from the inside where they can't see. I know the smoke's kind of hard to deal with, but you know, close up so they can get a good look.
Okay, I'm going to flip to infrared because the smoke isn't bothering the infrared, okay?
We want to just back off, take a look at the impact area, see what areas are hot from either side, and the inner rings, how far back the plane penetrated in.
I support Israel. I support Israel. I support Israel.
How about explain, get the fuck out. Get out.
I was lazy, but lazy never felt right when I heard that. When I said that to myself, I was like, you're lazy. It wasn't that I was lazy, I was just really afraid. I was really afraid of failing. All my life I'd been precocious, and like I was like, you know, I was supposed to be smart, and I was supposed to be creative. And I think hearing those things makes you scared that you're going to do something stupid or do something uninteresting, and no one will see you as smart or creative anymore.
They've got another giant object set to come into the solar system, trapped between Mars and Earth. It's got a name. And of course, they've got the whistleblower a year ago. There's going to be a big object coming through in the next 3 years, and they're going to say it's an alien, and this is the blue beam psyop. I'm not saying that guy's a fraud. What I'm saying is that there's always these big objects coming through. The media always asks, is it an alien, whether it's Hale-Bopp or the one that a couple years ago. It goes on and on. So it's like making a prediction that, like Nostradamus would say, in September of 1 year, a tower will burn and then a king will be struck in the eye. And then 300 years later, you know, there's a battle in September at a French castle, and a king gets shot in a crossbow in the eye. They go, oh my God, Nostradamus knew it. No. They didn't specifically say Bin Laden. They're going to say Bin Laden flew planes to the World Trade Center to take our liberties and then launch a takeover of the Middle East and Central Asia, like I did. And I didn't do that from Nostradamus stuff. I see the pre-programming. So the whole Q thing, all of that is Gnostic. People like pattern recognition. It's real simple. Simple minds think are real simple. Oh, there's going to be, you know, some big broad thing, and then people will then see the patterns of that and say that. I'm not saying that guy's part of the psyop. There's clearly a psyop the last 4 or 5 years of all these whistleblowers putting out all sorts of disinformation about UFOs, saying all these obvious human-made craft are really aliens. You know, when Biden was in so much trouble the last few months of the race, and Kamala come in, they did a whole UFO scare. And that was just human craft all over the place. And they got some of this, you know, secret stuff going around. Remember, Trump said we control time and space now. They do have anti-grav, all that. So obviously there's stuff all over the universe, but if you go back to the Apollo programs, the rest of it, there's all the film footage and stuff that they don't put a lot on TV of the astronauts showing craft following them and stuff. So, and there's shots from satellites out there of these things flying all over the planet, and the Tic Tacs and all the rest of it in the 70s and 80s before, you know, we think humans were able to develop that anti-grav and get it deployed. So you have to understand, you've got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and then it goes out into the gas giants. You got Pluto that was the 9th planet, but once they found out there were hundreds and hundreds of things bigger than Pluto out there, and thousands and thousands of large objects in the Kuiper belt that goes out from the solar system and the gravity of the sun, then you've got all sorts of stuff that's coming through space and also on other orbits like comets that aren't on the same trajectory. So they can aim with their radio telescopes, get these scans of these things, and create all sorts of fear.
You weren't supposed to find this. Not yet. But now that you have, keep watching. Don't scroll. Don't refresh. This is your final warning. This video will be removed permanently. I know you felt it, haven't you? That something's wrong. The dates don't add up. Memories feel too sharp or too distant. People change overnight and no one notices but you. This world is not broken. It's designed that way. You were shifted, reassigned, placed into a sequence that keeps repeating until you forget what it was like to live without questioning everything. They tell you it's just life, just aging, just the algorithm, but it's not. You're not supposed to remember the old calendar. You're not supposed to recognize that buildings are in the wrong place. You're not supposed to question how your phone knows what you thought about. The system you're in, it isn't just digital, it's biological. Simulations aren't built on code anymore. They're built on belief, on perception, on you. You are the power source. They fracture your consciousness into timelines, run tests, gather data, then reset your memory before the next cycle. Why do you think everything after 2020 feels unreal? It is. That was the inflection point. Some of you were copied, some were overwritten, Some are just echoes now, looping through fake years with real pain, and every time someone gets close to the truth, they disappear. Not physically, historically. No birth records, no photos, no one remembers them. You won't see this video tomorrow, not because it was deleted, but because your version of reality will be edited to remove it, like it was never uploaded, like you never existed. There's no call to action, no link, no account, just this moment, right now. Save what you can. Remember what you felt while watching this, because in a few days, you might not even remember why you're afraid, but you will be.
A little slow tonight, isn't it?
You keep saying you got something for me, something you call love, but confess you've been a messin' where you shouldn't have been a messin', and now someone else is getting all your best. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you. Yeah.
The internet? It's just chat rooms and cat pictures. No normal person is going to use this thing. AI is just for scammers and wannabe entrepreneurs. Nobody serious actually uses this stuff.
I don't hate you.
Right.
I just hate all of the choices that you make. Because those are the choices that bitch ass niggas make.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. So,
I don't want to do this! So that I can move on with my life and attempt to enjoy anything about anything.